Hello, legends. Benchmark Bets is back again, and today I've got two NFL picks to go through with you in the Falcons and Buccaneers games. And I've also got some leans to share with you. So if that sounds interesting, let's just get straight into it. But before we dive into those picks, let's do a Monday Night Football recap. So we had Kimani Vidal over 35.5 rushing yards. That cashed pretty easily. Pretty sure it cashed early in the fourth quarter. Then we had Saquon Barkley under 70.5 rushing yards. Didn't expect him to go over and didn't expect him to get over 100. I think that's the maybe first or second time he's gotten over 100 this year. However, their passing game wasn't that good, so it came down to the rush, and Barkley, he capitalized on that pretty easily. Now with my leans did very, very good. That's why I'm going to continue with the leans for you guys so you can get the best out of everything. We had Jalen Hurts under 7.5 rush attempts. That read was perfect. He should have gotten over 29.5 rushing yards. However, there was a few rushes that were cancelled, so that nearly cashed us out a nice little parlay. We had Oronde Gadsden under 3.5 receptions. Again, another very good read. He only ended up with 2 receptions, I'm pretty sure, 1 or 2 receptions, only 3 targets, so that read was very good. Another thing to look out for in the future. And we also had the Chargers money line. That was a very good pick. Just couldn't see the Eagles winning. Took overtime for Chargers to win, but that was another good cash there, plus money again. The same game parlay with the 2 receivers. The read was all right, but just McConkey didn't get going. And then we also had Eagles under 21.5 points as another lean. That one was good. Got pretty dicey towards the end, especially in OT. But yeah, that one cashed as well. So the leans have gone very, very good, whereas the plays have gone decent. So let's start off Thursday Night Football with 2 good wins. So with the first pick, actually, before we go through the picks, just want to discuss where I get all my analysis from. Props Madness, the number 1 tool out there. Very, very good as the season goes on. It just gets better and better. Pretty much can go through everything from defenses to how they do all their attacking, including all the zone coverage and man coverage that defenses play, such and such, and anything you can look for. So with the first pick, I'm looking at Bijan Robinson over 37.5 receiving yards, and here is why. For the season, he's over this in 8 out of 13 games with an average of 46.3 receiving yards. Drake London is out for this game, so I'm expecting him to get a lot more reception and receiving yards today. The Buccaneers allow the most amount of receiving yards to right backs, and also the 9th most targets. They also run zone defense at the 16th highest rate, and Bijan Robinson averages 2.4 yards per route run. Also, previous right backs have gone over their lines in 8 out of the last 13 times with an average difference of 8.35 receiving yards. So Bijan Robinson over 37.5 receiving yards is play number 1. And for play number 2, I am looking at Baker Mayfield over 18.5 rushing yards. And here is why. The Falcons allow the 4th most rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks and also the 8th most rushing yards in general. Quarterbacks that have versed the Falcons recently have gone over their lines in 5 out of the last 8 times with an average of 7.75 rushing yards over their lines. Mayfield has an undisclosed injury, so I'm not too sure how his passing game is going to go, but he's definitely going to be able to run the ball as he has been recently. He is over this line in 7 out of the last 13 games with an average of 21.9. So Baker Mayfield over 18.5 rushing yards is play number 2. Now that's it for the picks, but let's discuss some leans. So first off, let's look at some quarterbacks. So I already discussed Baker Mayfield and his rushing yards, but let's look at Kirk Cousins and see how he's going to go. So I'm expecting him to have a pretty average game. I think his passing line is roughly where it should be. The Buccaneers do allow a lot of passing yards, but Kirk hasn't been playing too good recently. think his like average completion rate is like 55% or something like that. So it's not that good. Especially, yeah, that's pretty much it for for Kirk Cousins. I just don't think that he's going to be that good with the ball today. He will get some good receptions off, but I think just his passing line in general is something I want to stay away from. So not too sure about that one. Already discussed Baker Mayfield. Let's look at some rushing guys. So Bucky Irving, I reckon he has a good game today. However, I think this line is pretty much spot on where it needs to be. Like looking at all his like recent games and that, he's been roughly around that 50 to 70 rushing yard game like line. So yeah, this is in this highest line for this season or for the year so far. So I reckon you can go over, but just how the last two games have been for them, I just don't see his rushing yards line being a good lean. Like he could do it, but he couldn't. They do run zone defense. Sorry, the Falcons do run zone defense at the 12th highest rate, and he does get 4.08 rush yards per carry. But I don't know. I don't know about this one. Not something I want to stick with. A popular play will most likely be Bijan Robinson rushing yards instead of his receiving yards. However, the last two games, the last two games, the right backs have been demolishing them in the rushing yards. I'm expecting the focus on topping the rush today. So I reckon Bijan under rushing yards and over receiving yards could be a nice little parlay, a nice little plus money parlay. I've already discussed Baker Mayfield. So let's finally go through the receivers. So I got a few here that I like. With Mike Evans questionable, now I've just realized that he is going to be playing this game. So I reckon Chris Godwin for over 3.5 receptions could be a nice play. I think all the focus is going to go on to Mike Evans and Emeka. So I reckon Chris Godwin, over 3.5 receptions could be a good play. The receptions aren't that high, but just especially with the defense and that, I reckon he's going to get a lot more target share compared to Evans and Emeka. Like I was saying with Evans, first game back after a while, I reckon it's going to be limited. Could go over. 42.5 is a pretty low line compared to his all-time high. Yeah, he's over this in 22 of the last 30. Just depends on how he goes and how much time he actually plays. If the Bucs are ahead by a lot, then I reckon he'll just sit for the last quarter. So slight lean, but I wouldn't target that. Emeka, I think his first quarter receiving yards line that's his receptions. First quarter receiving yard line could be good. 10.5 is a bit high at the moment. I saw it at like 9 or 8. Actually, nah, it's been 10.5. So I reckon this could be a good one. I reckon they're going to target him a lot in the first quarter. Just the way that how he's explosive and all that. The last 4 out of 7 wide receivers have gone over this line. So this is a nice little lean for me. But yeah, Chris Godwin receptions, definitely a strong lean. Loving that, especially how his all his games have gone over this line in 21 out of 30 games. And for this season, he's only over once. However, you might be able to find 2.5. Nah, so 3.5 is the normal line now. I still think he goes over. Very good strong lean. I might actually bet this closer to the game. Now let's look at some of the Falcons receivers. So yeah, talked about Bijan Robinson. Kyle Pitts, not too sure if he's going to play today. He does say questionable. Darnell Mooney, nothing I really like here. And then the rest don't look that good. So yeah, strong leans being Chris Godwin over his receptions. And then also Bijan Robinson under his rushing yards. So that's it for today's Picks Legends. If you're loving the content, smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot. Helps with the YouTube algorithm, so the video gets out to a lot more people. And yeah, I just want you to comment who your favorite player is for today and why. And good luck with your bets. Stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next video.